So we have a 2011 Super Duty 6.7 F250, 178,000 miles. It was in here a year and a half ago for a cooler, EGR cooler assembly. And they put a new cooler in it, gaskets and everything in it, cleaned up the EGR and the bypass because it wasn't that bad. So they just cleaned everything up, put it all back together, and it's been fine for a little over a year and a half. The problem is when you get these older Super Duties where you have crankcase ventilation issues with the filter boxes and stuff and turbo problems, you end up eating a lot of oil. So I ended up pulling this tube here. It goes from the intake down, and you can see here how there's a lot of soot and a lot of buildup. So there's a lot of stuff that came out of it when I was pulling it out. This whole tube is wet and chunky, and inside this cooler it's all chunky. And you just got an 8 mil there, an 8 mil underneath it, an 8 mil here, and an 8 mil here. Let's pop them out. Check down inside the assembly. You can see if your cooler's plugged up or not. Another thing that you can check when you have insufficient flow on these 6.7s for EGRs, take your finger and go over here and press up on this pivot assembly right here for this bypass. And when I first came over here, it wouldn't move at all. And I'm pressing up on it, went pop, 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 pop. And then finally it freed up and now it's moving. You can also pull the vacuum line off right here and just pull some vacuum on it and see if you get this to start moving. It should move freely all the way in and release all the way out. So I know the bypass is bad, the cooler's plugged up, and at this point we would have to try to figure out why this thing's consuming oil so bad. If the CCV is bad, the oil smells very, very sooty. And what I'm going to do right now is start the vehicle up and pull the oil cap. It's got the old CCV on it, the crankcase assembly. The new one has a flat cover with bolts all the way around it where you can actually service the filter in the top of it. This is the older style. It caused a lot of issues, including some oil consumption. We had one come in here that was like a couple weeks ago that was 10 quarts low on oil because of that CCV. So let's start it up, pull the oil cap, and see exactly what's going on. See if we're getting a bunch of pressure coming out of this. Turbo.
There's a lot of oil in there. Or it's the same sort of fucking blow by. But no,
Let's go out there and get in the computer, clear codes now that I freaked that up, and what little bit of flow it still has, and see if we can at least get it to clear for right now without putting a ton of money in it. Alright, so what we have here is we have a 2011 Ford F250 6.7 liter Power Stroke, and it's part of a fleet of vehicles. And this company has a habit of not changing the oil exactly when they should. This vehicle was in here for EGR cooler assembly about a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit more. They've put about 15,000 miles on the vehicle since then. And what I found when I went out here was the pivot point on the little vacuum solenoid on the EGR cooler assembly. You're supposed to be able to push that up freely with just a little bit of resistance from the vacuum pump, but it was stuck solid. I'm going to throw a little video up in here after I edit this to show you what the assembly looked like and some small talk about the assembly. Pulled the pipe from the intake manifold over to the cooler assembly off. It's 4 8 mil bolts, and I look down inside there. You can see it's got a Egt Temp Sensor in there. I pulled that out. That little pipe left the temp sensor connected, moved it off to the side, looked down inside the assembly, and I could see right at the cooler it was just all full of oil, big chunks of carbon buildup and stuff like that, and soot all in the pipe. It was all full of soot and stuff. So something internally in this engine is really going wrong. Like there's a lot of blow by. Something may be wrong with the turbo. Something could be wrong with the CCV assembly, or it could just have a lot of blow-by in general. Now I did pull the oil cap and felt for pressure where the CCV may be causing that. The crankcase ventilation system, they have an updated assembly that doesn't have the slightly bowed top. It's more of a flat top with bolts that you can actually access the internals of it. This has the older style, but it's not bad yet. Seeing as the bypass assembly with that little pivot door was stuck and I freed it up and now it's moving freely, I want to see if we can actually get in here and will it run a regen. This company doesn't want to put a lot of money into this thing, and seeing as the condition of the cooler assembly, normally it would be service part warranty because the customer did pay for that a year and a half ago to be replaced. Well, it's been replaced and it looks like something else is going on that's causing it to malfunction. So if I service part warranted something, it would be the cooler assembly and the gaskets, because that's what was replaced before, but nothing else was replaced. And the customer doesn't want to replace anything else or pay for anything else on a 2011 Power Stroke with 178,000 miles. They actually referenced probably trading the truck in to get a new one. So in this instance, I can't service part warranty something because I know it's failed because of something else, and there's an additional part that's attached to the front of it that's bad. If I service part warranty that, I'm setting myself up for failure because it's going to fail again. You're not going to warranty something that something is causing to fail, and the part hasn't even failed yet. It's just plugged up because of other things going on with the vehicle. So right now, I'm in forescan. I'm going to connect to the vehicle. So I connect the forescan. Is the vehicle fitted with a factory installed navigation system? Not equipped. Okay. The reason I have this turned away right now is because I don't want it to show any sensitive information about the vehicle. So it's acknowledging all the modules online right now. We're going to go in here. I'll show you what the insufficient EGR code is, and then we're going to move forward from there. Maybe see if this will do a regen, see what the soot load and stuff is, whatever. We're just going to go in here and mess around with this and see if we can get this truck to start acting right. It's not that it's not acting right. It's just saying the EGR is not flowing and setting a code for that, and the customer does not want the check engine light on while they're out working it during the winter. Okay, it says after everything's cycled off and back on, it's clear. So now we're going to have to start it back up. And we are going to go to this wrench right here on the left. And then we are going to go to Diesel Particulate DPF Static Regen. Click on that. And go down here to the bottom, hit the play button. It's going to give you some statuses here. Engine speed is going to give you some warnings about vehicle not moving, and then you will go here, hit OK. This is an F250. Okay, checking vehicle conditions. It's going to go through and make sure everything's met for the regen. Come on, focus. It says it doesn't like the coolant temperature. It's got to be hotter. Alright, we're good. So it's going to finish up on its time. Now it has a pass screen. Press OK to proceed. And now it's going to run the regen. And just let it run now. It's going to give you a status here as it does its thing. You should look at the soot load, make sure everything's dropping properly while you're doing it. We're at 51.3 right now. I'll come back and update you guys as it runs through the system. Alright, so here we go. We have a successful regen. Brought the soot load down all the way down to 0. And DPF soot concentration inferred below 1 gram per liter, I think that is. Grams per liter. And everything checks out. All the temps checked out. They all climbed up like they were supposed to. So with the customer not wanting to put a lot of money into this, I apologize for the sun. Let me see if there's another way I could look at this. I'm outside right now. So with the customer wanting to look into this, or not wanting to put a lot of money into this, because it's just an old work truck that they have like 40 of these trucks. I'll show you the thing that was jammed up on it, the bypass door. It's going to take a while for it to bring these temps back down and cool back down. They don't want you to shut the truck down right away. They want you to let it run a while until all these exhaust temps come back down and the vehicle cools down a little bit, and then they want you to go drive it. So right now it's still in the process. It quit regenning. There it is. It just kicked down completely. Inferred is 0, it says. It says allow the engine to idle for 2 minutes. It may result in further cleaning of the DPF. So let it idle for a while, let those temperatures come back down some more, and then your DPF regen is good. And everything checked out with the EGR, didn't set any codes or any of that stuff. Now we go drive it, just go on a basic test drive. Now if you take this pipe off right here, 2 10mm bolts on each side, you don't have to take the temp sensor off. You can actually look at the cooler. And you can see inside the hole whether or not the cooler's plugged up as well. Here is the vacuum solenoid for the bypass butterfly. Move that rod up and down inside that vacuum housing and see if it moves. That's how you check and see if it's stuck.